Hey, this is Bill Rice with Kaleido. We're a digital marketing agency, and today we're going to talk about, do I need a content marketing strategy or an SEO strategy, or maybe both? We're going to talk about all that and how to implement either or both in this episode coming up next. A lot of times we get clients that come to us that are a little bit confused or not sure whether they need a content strategy or a SEO strategy, or potentially do they need both combined. So in today's episode, we're going to go through what exactly do you get with a content marketing engagement versus an SEO strategy or marketing engagement, and then potentially how do those two packages get used together? Okay, let's start with content. So how does content work, and what exactly is happening when you engage in a content strategy or content marketing strategy? So content actually provides three really important value propositions for you as a company and to your customer. So first and foremost, it helps your customers, your prospects, understand a particular topic or concept or a product or service that you can help with. Number two, it shows that you're credible. You're credible on that topic. They can read it. They can understand that you're an expert and that engaging you for this particular service or product is going to give them value. And then the third part, and I think this is the most important, but often overlooked part of how content helps you, it actually pre-sells your product or your service. If your prospects are reading your content and they're inspired by your content, or they're understanding your philosophy towards a particular service or a product, you're essentially pre-selling them before that actual form fill, before that actual lead gets created. And when your salesperson gets that lead, there's going to be a lot of yeses that are and head nodding, positive head nodding, that's going to happen on that first call because they've consumed so much of your content, they've kind of gotten behind your story, they've gotten behind your approach, and so it makes it so much easier for your salesperson to actually make that sale and convert that lead. I think that's one big, powerful chunk of content marketing that's often overlooked. So what does SEO do? Well, search engine optimization is actually optimizing your content to be in that search engine result. So the first thing that it does is, if you're doing things correctly, it's going to take that content, whatever that content, it could just be your homepage, it could be actually blog post or something, maybe a webinar or some other types of a video, but it's taking whatever content or whatever website that you're doing SEO for, or search engine optimization, and gets that information in front of your client. How does that do that? Through those optimization techniques, we're getting the search engine to, one, see our content, index it, and then put it in an attractive position. The other thing that, of course, it does is it helps to inform that customer who's making those searches. Whenever you go in through a process and a customer is searching for your product or your service, there's probably a set of questions that they have to go through. Either they're doing research or maybe they're trying to build a business case. And so we're trying to satisfy those questions because we're doing the search engine optimization. We're understanding what those questions, what those keywords are, and we're working with Google and all of the best practices that they give us to make sure that that content has the best possible position in those searches. The other thing that it does is, when you're in those high-ranking positions or you're in those attractive positions in search, it again shows that you're credible and shows that you're an expert in that particular field for that particular search. So if they're searching for a keyword, or they're searching to do some research or build a business case, and your content keeps coming up in their searches, they're building, you're building a case for your credibility and your expertise in that field, which is super powerful. The other thing that it does, and again, this is one of those things that we often don't think about, is when you're getting yourself into a positive position in search engine rankings, you're literally fending off and pushing out your competitors. And that's a real big value proposition for SEO, is by making sure that your content is positioned in there and you're doing all of the things that search engine optimization does to get you into those high ranking spots for your prospects, and the searches that they do is literally going going to help you in the competitive market fend those competitors off, show that your case is different, your value proposition is different, your content is better, and therefore you're a more credible candidate for that work. And then the last item, again, much like we talked about with content in general, it is pre-selling. It's pre-selling that lead on you as a company. So again, by positioning, by being credible, by having high quality content, by being better than the other competitors in that search engine optimization, that SEO is going to help you fend off customers and pre-sell that lead. So when it gets to your sales force, the actual prospect is already agreeing with your salesperson and the pitch that they're making, the unique selling proposition that they are, the overcoming objections or talking about competitors is going to be really powerful and already pre-sold in that particular lead because of the SEO work that you did. Okay, now we're going to talk about how to kind of use these two together and package them up. And so I'll kind of talk about a process and a flow that we go through whenever we're doing content or SEO for that matter. Okay, so the first thing that we like to start with is to really understand the marketplace and how your customers behave. This is different in every single industry. So depending on whether you're selling maybe to B2B versus B2C, those processes of buying are different. And you're going to have to do some research and analysis, usually with some search engine tools, to understand how your customer behaves. For instance, just a simple high-level example. If you're talking about B to C, business to consumer, and you're directly selling to an individual consumer, generally that path, that decision making is a little bit of a straighter, shorter journey. The individual is making a decision on their own accord to purchase a product or service, so they're really the only person that needs to be convinced, and they can make that judgment call sometimes in a single session. Whereas a B2B, oftentimes in a business-to-business sale, there is actually a committee or a group or a team that's making the decision. And as a result, a lot of times there needs to be some research done, some information gathered, and a business case put together that then needs to go in front of that committee and be sold. And sometimes when you're doing SEO and content, not only are you providing the content to support that process, but potentially you're trying to get in a position and you're trying to put in front of all of these people content. Because again, whenever they get that proposal and they see kind of the three options on there, they're going to do some searches, they're going to do some looking around, they're going to do their own research. So you want all 4, 5, 6, 10, however many people are in that committee, when they do their searches and they look for the content and do their own research, that they're finding you in a very positive light. So the first thing is do some search engine optimization or some search engine marketplace analysis to understand what that market looks like. In that process, you're going to look for your competitors. You're going to look for the keywords. That's part of the behavior process that those individuals are using, and get a good foundational overview of how that marketplace operates. Again, how people are behaving, who are the competitors in that space, who's doing well, and who are you going to be competing with for that business. The other thing is, and this is probably something you hear about more often than marketplace analysis, is the actual keyword analysis. So drilling down a level, once you kind of understand the marketplace, you understand the way your customer behaves by doing that initial research and who the competitors are and how they're approaching the customer, then you need to get very specific. What are some of the keywords that you want to strategically be positioned so that you can get that prospect to see you and become aware of you? Or there may be some very specific niche areas and keywords that you're stronger at than maybe your competitor. So you're going to do that keyword analysis with a couple of different things in mind. One, you're looking for the competition. Where do I want to insert myself into that competitive space? Some of the question might be, where can I, in some very highly competitive spaces, you have to kind of look for some little secret niche areas to sort of insert yourself in if you're trying to compete and you haven't done SEO or content marketing before. And then the last piece is really what keywords, again, can you use and can you compete with to actually do the next step. So actually get your content in those positions. So that's what the keyword analysis is looking for, is what are those keywords that I'm going to focus on that I think, one, are achievable, and two, put me in the best position to actually earn business. After I've done that keyword analysis, then I'm going to take the next step, and I'm going to take those keywords and I'm going to, based on my understanding of why the customer used those particular keywords, what were they searching for, what did they expect to get, what do they want to get back, what do they need to get back in order to make that business case. Once I've kind of done that analysis, I'm going to build out my editorial calendar. So this is where we start to sink into the content piece. Once I've got those keywords, I'm really trying to figure out what's the question that the customer is trying to answer, and how can I build or create a piece of content that will satisfy that question, or will provide that research, or provide that study, or provide that business case for the individual such they can make the decision to go with my company. And I'm going to build out that editorial calendar with all those different topics, and again, making sure that my topics are aligned with my keywords, so that when that person does the search and they read my content or they watch my video, it's going to be exactly aligned with what they're probably looking to find. That's going to keep them stuck on your site. It's going to get them to stay there longer, to actually use your content as part of their decision-making process. So you want to make sure that we've got good alignment. The other thing that's really important is once you've got those keywords and you're starting to build out your editorial calendar, take a look at what the competitors are doing and see if there's a unique approach that you can take, a different perspective, a different angle. Maybe you have a different philosophy on that particular topic. Anything that can differentiate you from all those other search results is super, super powerful. And then we're going into the actual content production. And this is really important. It's one thing to do all that research, build out a nice editorial calendar and say, hey, if I could produce these pieces of content and I could get them in an attractive position in search, I will be getting this business. The last thing that often starts to break down in a lot of our processes, and this is where an agency like ours can really help, in addition to the strategic part, sometimes the tactical execution is difficult. So that editorial calendar has to actually get accomplished. We've got to create the content and we've got to publish. And ahead of that, it's not only just doing that on occasion. Google, in order to index and give you ranking, what's essentially happening is they have a bot that's going around the internet and looking for new content. The best of it, they get indexed, right? And when it gets indexed, if it's quality content, they will up the rankings. And then they're looking how people interact with that content. So the more they interact with it, the more traffic, the more time they spend on it, the more pages they look at on your site, the higher those ranks will go. That's just one of a multitude of attributes that they look at. But the important part of that whole dialogue is Google has to kind of figure out what is the right cycle to send that bot around. If you're not regularly publishing content, then that bot won't have any sort of guidance as to how frequently and how often that you are going to publish. So it doesn't have a good cadence. And if you're erratic, that bot will come around erratically and you won't get rankings as fast as you want. So if you want to really kind of step up that, you want to make sure that you're publishing on a regular basis. You're conditioning Google to understand that, hey, I publish once a week a new piece of great content. You want to make sure that you're sending your bot around that frequently. And then the other piece of that is we want to make sure that we're also taking our older content and we continue to reinvest in that. We want to rewrite it. We want to optimize it. We want to see what it's performing for. We want to see how Google matches it up with keywords and see if we can do a better job making a better match and satisfying our customers more and creating more compelling content so they stay there longer. So not only is Google seeing the new content, but they're also getting a reference point that says, hey, I need to come around once a week and check this thing out and reevaluate, because not only are they publishing new content, but they're constantly investing in redoing that older content to make it as good as possible. Those are really high quality signals. So that's what kind of this combination package of SEO and content together will deliver. And it's why it's kind of important for those to be together. However, you can do them independently, and I'm going to tell you kind of the order to get your house moving so that it's performing well, and you can decide, do I do content or SEO first? Do I do them together? This can all depend on your budget. And so that's the next section. I'm going to go through a framework that I like to use with clients to figure out where should I start and how should I allocate my budget if I've got fixed resources. So if you can kind of only do one or the other, this is the steps I like to take my client through in order to get the whole content marketing and SEO process moving in the right direction and working. So step one, make sure that my platform is in order. Make sure that my website is correctly functioning. Oftentimes when we first engage with a client, they've put up a website, might have been crafted, maybe it's custom HTML or something like that, or it's even on WordPress or a content management system, and just through a lack of attention or knowledge or awareness, a lot of times the website is a little messy and could be just technically tuned up. So the first thing, again, if your website is in that condition, probably the best thing you can do is to sort of get everything technically sound, such that you have a good platform on which to kind of do the next step, whether it's SEO optimization or content marketing. You want to make sure that that website platform is very strong. So we're going to get all that house in order technically. The second thing that I would encourage, depending on what you're doing, sometimes we'll see people are using maybe a series of landing page optimization software, which is good if you're kind of doing one-off squeeze pages or you're pushing in PPC traffic into a particular offer. But it doesn't really work well if you're trying to kind of build an overall seamless experience for your customers that are researching you as a company. So we like to have that kind of all wrapped together. That means your website and your blog. Oftentimes we'll see people using two different platforms for their website and a different one for the blog, or maybe even two different instances of WordPress, or maybe they're using something like HubSpot for one, not the other. So one of the things that we highly recommend is WordPress, and making sure that the website and the blog, where oftentimes you're publishing regularly articles, are all in the single content management system. Some people will put blog dot whatever their company name is, and then they'll have their company name. That can cause some problems too, because Google looks at those as kind of two different websites. So you're actually doubling the work and potentially doubling the expense. So let's pull those things together, put them on WordPress. Makes it really easy to manage a content marketing program. And just by doing that second step, you're going to get a lot of SEO for free, because WordPress does SEO really well. So just by popping up WordPress, publishing your content, and having a quality web design, you're going to get a lot of that initial SEO foundation already done for you and intact. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to focus on some basic, what I call cornerstone content. And this is content that is just kind of key and essential to your business or your product or your service that you're offering to a client. There are certain things that all of your clients want to know about you and want to make sure that you're credible in. So make sure, even if you can't really compete on these keyword items, make sure that you have that cornerstone foundational stuff in order. So for instance, for a digital marketing agency like us, we want to make sure that we have a piece of content about content marketing, and we want to have a piece of content about SEO. Now, we may never rank for those keywords all by themselves. SEO, we're never going to rank on the first page for SEO. We're never going to rank on the first page for content marketing, or it's going to be very difficult just because of all the other people competing in that market space and how long they've been around and how old some of that content is. So even if that's difficult, make sure that you have those cornerstone pieces there so that your prospects will be able to find that. The other important thing is when Google surveys your website, they want to get a general impression and understanding of what your website is about. And those cornerstone pieces of content are really important to immediately shape at the highest level of kind of your sitemap or your organizational structure within your website, that is very clear to Google, hey, I'm about content marketing and I'm about SEO. And so if you're looking for content related to that, especially some of these longer tail or kind of multiple keywords, take a look at my website, because at the core, that's what we're about. So make sure that the first step that you do after you've kind of got your house in order is to build some of those cornerstone pieces of content. And you can use a little bit of SEO research to do that, but usually that kind of content is pretty intuitive and more akin to your marketing, your sales and marketing process than it is really kind of doing a lot of keyword research. So get that content tackled on your site first. Then the next step is whatever you do, even if you don't incorporate and do kind of full-on SEO, at least build out an editorial calendar, do some rudimentary keyword research, or even kind of intuitively knowing your market. You can probably get away with this as well, and build out an editorial calendar and start to publish consistently and frequently. Again, getting Google and your customers used to the fact that you're going to be continually updating and investing in them with your content and giving them high value information to support, again, what they're trying to figure out or the decision that they're trying to make for your company. And that content being, again, delivered consistently and frequently is going to condition your market and your prospects and Google to visit you as an authority on that particular topic. The next step is to actually promote your content. Deliver it out into the marketplace. This could be as simple as emailing your prospects. You have your CRM, send out, every time you publish a blog post, if it's relevant to people in your CRM, or you could cut down a segment, a little piece of your CRM that would be interested in this topic, go ahead and email it. That's promotion. Put links to your blog or your website in the bottom of your email signature. If you use Twitter, if you use Facebook, publish out there. Share those links. LinkedIn is a great place. You're already kind of aligning yourself and creating a network around people that can support you and potentially that you're targeting. So LinkedIn is a great place to share that content. Don't just publish it to your website and then just hope for the best and then hope that Google does something with it. Go ahead and share it in a very organic, natural way. You don't have to do anything sophisticated. We'll talk about that here in a second, but really just simply sharing it to those people and people that are clients, people that are prospects, people that are working on building a relationship with, just organically sharing that into whatever channels are available to you is a huge step in getting that content and that SEO working for you. Because again, it's going to bring people to the website. It's going to show Google that people are there, they're engaged. Those people are generally going to be kind of the most receptive to spending some time actually reading your content or watching your video. So that, even though it isn't the scale maybe that you want, it's probably some of your highest quality visits and some of the best ways to bring those prospects in closer to you for that eventual lead conversion and sale. And then last but not least, then we can start to talk about some advanced SEO and some advanced content marketing strategies. But not until you've gotten all of those other 5 steps in order is it really that important to kind of go to that advanced level. And at that point, then you can start to invest bigger dollars in kind of either doing more content or doing more SEO work at an advanced level, or hopefully bringing those two together. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would love to get a like and definitely subscribe so that you will get all of our new content as it comes out. We're doing a lot more video this year and would love for you to be a subscriber so you can see as we keep on top of trends and help you, the marketing director and CMO, keep on top of the trends that will make your digital marketing better.